Tonight on Cronkite News, Paris prepares for the Summer Olympics. We are looking at how the games are touching people back here in the States. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Regan Gallo. Thank you for joining us. We are getting you ready for the Summer 2024 Olympic Games with opening ceremonies just 2 days away. Our very own Blake Neiman kicks off our coverage from Paris.
From Phoenix to Paris, bonjour everyone and welcome to the 2024 Olympic Games. I'm outside the Plaza de la Bastille, which is one of the few iconic monuments in Paris not currently closed off. Security is at an unprecedented high here in the city, with close to 35,000 security forces set to be on hand for Friday's opening ceremony. In fact, upon our arrival here in Paris, we attempted to go down to the River Seine and the Eiffel Tower, only to be met by chain-linked fence and thousands of security forces surrounding the area. Not to mention that it hasn't been the most ideal weather for a Summer Olympics, as it was 65 degrees and raining today. Luckily, though, it's supposed to be low 80s and partly cloudy the rest of this upcoming week. Our team of 25 reporters will be on the ground here in Paris for the full course of the Olympic Games, producing stories on many of the Arizona athletes competing on the world's biggest stage. Reporting in Paris, Blake Neiman, Cronkite News.
And a little piece of Oregon will parade through the opening ceremonies of the Olympic Summer Games on Friday. As Blake Neiman found out, Team USA's uniforms include a navy Ralph Lauren blazer made with yarn from Shanico Wool Company, based in Maupin.
I'm Jeannie Carver, and our family ranch is the Imperial Stock Ranch, and this is our 153rd year of continuous operation producing sheep and cattle, grains, and hay. Collectively, we graze about 2.6 million acres in the western U.S., and we shear about 500,000 pounds of some of the best merino wool produced in North America. In the summer of 2012, I got a phone call, and I said, "Which yarn store are you with?" And he said, "Oh, I'm not with a yarn store. I'm with Polo Ralph Lauren in New York." I said, "Really?" I was in shock. Things like that don't happen to people like us, right? It's not even something you ever dreamed of. It's beyond what you can dream. They ended up choosing our yarn for the first Made in America Olympic uniforms they did for the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi, Russia. And here we are, a decade later, still working with them. They have been an amazing partner. And for the first time, they've made the decision to feature wool in the opening ceremony uniform of a Summer Olympics, which to me has a really special, decision they've made and an effort they've made for a lot of reasons. One, wool is the original performance fiber. We have our own little moment of glory because our wool is someplace really important. It's always really emotional. It's really emotional. I don't know what else to say. Maybe because we're nowhere near the Olympics in our life. We're far from New York City, and we're far from the glory of the Olympic Games. We do something that in many ways is forgotten, and yet it's important for everybody's survival. But that's what we do. So we're not in those kinds of spotlights. But when you see this happening, on the TV, it's like, it's overwhelming. I mean, to think that our effort every day supports something like this.
LeBron James will be leading Team USA at the Paris 2024 Olympics opening ceremony. The basketball star has been chosen as the male flag bearer. In a statement, James said he's proud to be part of this important moment that can bring the whole world together. This is James's 4th Olympics. He previously won gold at the 2008 Beijing Games and the 2012 London Games. The men's basketball team start competition against Serbia on Sunday. While the Olympics take place in Paris, fans back here in Arizona can get a slice of Parisian life in the Northeast Valley. In between watching the events, Blake Neiman tells us you can sample French food at Café Paris right in Scottsdale.
A taste of Paris in the valley. Café Paris, nestled in North Scottsdale, has been serving French food full of care for 17 years.
like in the movie Ratatouille.
Owners Orno and Caroline Cartois immigrated to the U.S. from Paris back in the mid-2000s with a vision that sprouted to life in the Valley of the Sun.
I just followed him. That was his dream, open a restaurant in the U.S.
But the couple's dream wasn't just to bring French flavor to the desert. It's been much more about creating a community of care centered around the table.
I've been coming here probably for about 15 years.
What keeps drawing you back?
The food, the ambiance.
I mean, my family is far because they're in France, so I feel like I have another family.
The owners create that. You know, they've been doing this for a very long time. You've got people like me coming back year after year after year and bringing friends with me who now come back year after year.
They appreciate the food, the difference, you know, it's something different, you know, like we're not the same as another restaurant.
And it's not just the regulars who come to Café Paris. The establishment has attracted customers from all over the world, including countries like Russia, Australia, England, and Mexico. And now, with newly added non-stop flights from Phoenix to Paris, the couple expects a fresh serving of French natives and tourists to stop for a bite.
Instead of going to to LA or to Las Vegas, they're going to land in Phoenix and stay more in Phoenix. So, well, we see. Yeah.
Have people, you know, come here because they're going to have a trip in France. So they want to come here and speak French with me.
As for this summer's Olympic Games in their native country, the Cartois will be keeping a close eye on a super Sun Devil Frenchman.
Léon Marchand is probably the best swimmer now. The new Michael Phelps.
French food, family, and friends. Quite a golden combination. In Scottsdale, Blake Neiman, Cronkite News.
And let's not forget about the Paralympic Games also taking place in Paris. The Paralympics are set to begin at the end of August. And as Cronkite News reporter Alex DaCosta reports, one local wheelchair tennis player is hoping to be among the athletes headed to the Games.
Andrew Bogdanov is a force to be reckoned with. Bogdanov started competing in wheelchair tennis less than 3 years ago and has taken his game further than he has ever imagined. Bogdanov was involved in a snowboarding accident 10 years ago that left him paralyzed from the chest down with a spinal cord injury. Impressively, within a week after the accident, Bogdanov was already doing pull-ups in the hospital. As an athlete and adrenaline seeker, he was eager to get active again. Since then, Bogdanov has competed in triathlons, skydiving, and even skied the slopes again. But it was the game of tennis that ignited his spark. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Andrew discovered his love for the sport.
It started as, something just like local, where I would be playing in San Diego and Phoenix and just in tournaments near me on the West Coast. And now it's worldwide. It's incredible to be able to play all these different places and against, some amazing athletes too from different countries.
Competing overseas would not have been possible if it weren't for Andrew's coach, Chris. He brought the Prescott community together and raised thousands of dollars for a tennis-specified wheelchair that is crucial for quad tennis. The dedicated coach continues to raise money to help pay for Andrew's travel expenses.
I have to give a lot of credit to Chris. He has a very busy schedule, but he's been able to make time for me. He's taken notes. He's gone to a lot of my matches. I just played in Indian Wells, and he drove out there 4.5 hours. Didn't even pay him. He just came to support me and be there and train and warm me up before matches, and that's really special, so I'm grateful for that.
For a sport so demanding, a support system is crucial. For Andrew, his longtime partner Sharon is always by his side. Sharon can sense Andrew's needs just by looking at him, whether it is a snack in between sets or a towel to cool him down.
The heat and exhaustion that he deals with being in a wheelchair with his disabilities, to everybody watching him, you would never know any of that. It's really taxing on these guys. And when you look at somebody who's in a wheelchair outperforming as an elite athlete, you have to understand that they're using their arms to swing, right? And this is not just whenever there's a tournament setting or during training, like their arms are their legs.
Coach Chris appreciates the path that Andrew has paved for the next generation of quad tennis players.
There's a whole group of young wheelchair players that are looking at what they want to do in the future. And when they get introduced to tennis and they see some of the people like Andrew and all these other top players that have gone from a no player to a great player, it's inspirational to them. And one of the things Andrew will always say, and I truly believe him, when he's on the court playing, you know, he forgets that he's in a chair. How do you beat that?
Just 3 years into his tennis career, Andrew represented the red, white, and blue at the BNP Paribas World Team Cup last year. In Prescott, Alex DaCosta, Cronkite News.
And we are happy to report that Andrew did indeed qualify for this year's Paralympic Games.